I am Lena Hart, 29 years old, living in Portland, Oregon, a city of rain and coffee shops where I once felt safe and steady in my career as a graphic designer and in my small circle of friends. I loved painting murals on the side and volunteering at the local shelter for women. But the winter after my mother fell ill, I slipped into a dark place where my sleep stopped. My thoughts turned heavy, and I began to doubt my own worth. It was during this fragile time that I met Mark, a charming man who seemed to understand my pain. He said he was a freelance photographer. He said he loved the rain and the city. He said he was single and looking for someone to share quiet evenings with. I trusted him because I needed someone to hold my hand, and his smooth words felt like a lifeline. We started meeting at cafes. He would listen to my worries and promise to help. He even offered to pay for my mother's medication when I told him about the bills. I felt a spark of hope and a warm feeling that maybe I could get my life back. But as weeks turned into months, I began to notice small lies. He would say he was at a shoot when he was actually at a bar. He would claim he had no children when a photo of a toddler appeared on his phone. And the biggest blow came when I discovered he was married, a fact he had hidden from everyone, yet he kept telling my friends that he was single. I felt foolish and angry. But I also felt trapped because I had already given him my savings, my credit cards, and my trust. I wanted to expose him. I thought if I could tell his wife the truth, she would leave him and his deceit would end. So I gathered emails, screenshots, and bank statements and sent a long message to his family, hoping they would see the monster he truly was. But before they could read my words, he had already called his wife, told her that I was a liar trying to ruin their marriage. He painted me as the aggressor. His wife believed him. The police never got involved because there was no crime, and I was left with a shattered reputation and a deeper hole in my mental health. I tried to move on. I tried therapy. I tried to find new friends. But every time I looked at my bank account, I saw the empty numbers. Every time I walked past the coffee shop where we first met, I felt a sting. And the worst part was that Mark kept flirting with other vulnerable women, promising them the same false support, and I could not stand the thought that he would keep hurting people while I suffered in silence. I decided I needed a plan. I started by learning everything about his daily routine. I followed him on his walks through the city. I discovered that he kept a small notebook in his jacket where he wrote the names of the women he was targeting. I copied the entries when he left the notebook on a park bench. I also learned that he used a fake email address to receive money from his victims. I created a new email that looked exactly like his. I set up a fake bank account that could receive transfers. Then I waited for the moment when he would try to steal from another woman. I found a woman named Sarah who was also being courted by Mark. I pretended to be a friend of hers and told her the truth. We both decided to set a trap. We invited Mark to a meeting at a quiet restaurant. We told him that we had a large sum of money to invest in a photography project. He arrived confident. He brought his laptop and his notebook. And as soon as he opened his laptop, I switched on a hidden recorder that I had placed under the table. I asked him to sign a contract that promised him a payment of $10,000 for his services. He signed without reading, thinking he could steal the money later. The moment he signed, I pressed the record button and said in a calm voice, "Mark, you have been caught. This is a recording of you admitting to fraud and deception. I have copies of all your messages and bank transfers. I will send this to the police and to every woman you have ever touched." He stared at me, his face turning pale. He tried to argue that it was a misunderstanding, but the evidence was clear. I had screenshots of his messages to his wife, his false identity, the receipts of money he had taken from me and from other women. I sent the recording and the documents to the local police department, to the news station, and to the online community that had warned me about him. The story went viral, and suddenly Mark was no longer a hidden predator. His wife filed for divorce. His family cut him off. His social media accounts were deleted, and the women he had harmed formed a support group to help each other heal. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I had taken him down, but the damage to my own life remained. However, the next morning I received an email from an unknown address that simply said, "Thank you for freeing us," and attached a photo of a new mural I had painted years ago. The mural now displayed on a wall in downtown Portland with a plaque that read, "Lena Hart, Survivor." I realized that my revenge had become more than just punishment. It had turned into a beacon for other women who felt alone. I still have days when the rain feels heavy, and my mind drifts to the past. But now I walk the streets of Portland with my head held high. I know that I turned my pain into power, and that the man who once preyed on my vulnerability now lives with the knowledge that every lie he told has been turned against him. And that is the most satisfying justice I could ever imagine.